And welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy show. This is our Leadership Conversations podcast. These individual podcast episodes are available to our Patreon members and to members of the Nurse Shark Academy. My mission, again, is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining confidence, skills, and freedom to live your life on your own terms. You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Join us for each episode of our Leadership Conversations. Today's episode of Leadership Conversations, Leading with Clinical Confidence in Business. Identify one clinical skill you relied on this week and write it down one way it can serve you in your business. And so if I had to think about what clinical skill have I relied on this past week, I would have to say the ability to listen. It's my listening skills. Being able to understand where that person is coming from. My ability to listen has served me so well in what I'm doing clinically, but also when I'm talking to my client to understand what needs they have and how I can serve them. Break free and come feel the sun with the Nurse Shark Academy. Nurses, are you ready to break free from the grind and build something of your own? It's time to take your skills beyond the bedside and step into entrepreneurship. Join our webinar, Break Free, the Nurse's Path to Entrepreneurship, where you'll learn how to shift your mindset, explore your nurse-owned business ideas, and get the exact steps to launch your own business. This is your time to take control of your career and create a future you love. Seats are limited, so grab yours now. Break free and join the Nurse Shark Academy at thenursesharkacademy.biz. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. This is the podcast where nurse entrepreneurs learn to lead, grow, and make impact beyond the bedside. I'm Tina Baxter, your host, nurse business owner, mentor, and your guide to your clinical skills into CEO moves. This is today's special episode as we're beginning a series in between our guest episodes of interviewing, talking about leadership topics. And so our first episode is Leading with Clinical Confidence in Business. I wanted to start off again with our leadership lessons and include those in between our guest interviews so that you get a chance to learn a little bit more about leadership and entrepreneurship, marketing, all the things that we do as business owners. And so I thought I'd bring this information to you today. So again, today's topic is leading with clinical confidence in business. This is something foundational. And so I want you to ask yourself, have you ever thought to yourself or ever pondered, do I really have what it takes to lead a business? If so, this episode is for you. As nurses, we're trained to lead in high-pressured, unpredictable environments. Whether it's a code, a family crisis, or managing a full assignment, leadership is baked into our training. But when we pivot into entrepreneurship, especially outside traditional clinical roles, self-doubt can creep in. So here's the truth. Your clinical experience in leadership in action. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from a strong foundation. And as I always tell my nurses in our academy, if you can write a care plan, you can write a business plan. And so if you can lead a team on your unit, you can lead a team in your business. Those leadership skills are transferable. So you already have traits as a nurse leader. So let's unpack the 3 core leadership traits that you've already mastered as a nurse and how they translate beautifully to business. One trait that I've often discovered and I've learned myself is that we have decisiveness under pressure. In the hospital, it's busy on the unit. We don't have time to overanalyze. We assess, decide, and act. Blood sugar's going down. We assess, find out what that blood sugar is, what is the next step of action, what medication should they be taking or not taking, and then we implement it and put that into action. And those are the same traits that we can take as a nurse entrepreneur. So in business, that same instinct drives forward motion. You'll need it for pricing, client contracts, and hiring decisions. You'll have that opportunity to make those decisions because you've done it before. And nurses make excellent decision makers. So here's the second trait that I've noticed: clear, compassionate communication. Nurses know how to explain complex things to stressed out people, patients, families, even the physicians and staff members that we work with. We know how to work together in the team, but we also know how to say what we need to say in a way that changes lives. That's gold in business. Whether you're pitching your services, leading a team, or negotiating terms, it's that ability to talk to the individual, find out what their needs are, meet their needs, and to be compassionate and clear about it. How many times have you on the unit talked to one of your patients and explained to them their diagnosis? They've talked to the doctor, they've talked to the specialist, but they still don't understand what it is that they need to do. What's the next step? And that's where the nurses come in. A lot of times we bridge that gap, and our communication is such that we're able to not water it down, but bring it down to a level that is accessible to others. I remember having to explain to one of my tutoring students one of the leadership concepts. And I love bringing in stories, and we're good at this, telling stories as there's and bringing it to something that's familiar. So we talked about, okay, let's say you're building a car and you're making a car. Well, you need to know what the car does. It does no good to have everything in the car. The car looks beautiful on the outside. You've got great seats. You put everything into it, but you forgot to put gasoline in it. No gas, the car's not moving. Has a beautiful engine, but there's no gas. It's not moving. Or if it's electric, it's not charged. And so we think about those things as nurses. We have to bring those things that people don't sometimes understand and bring it to make it accessible to them and closer to them. And that those people skills are invaluable in business. The third leadership trait is advocacy and ethical thinking. Nurses, we've been the voice for patients a lot of times. We are their advocate. And so in business, you're advocating for your clients, your values, your professional standards. These aren't soft skills, they're leadership essentials. And if you don't know what your standards are, it's so easy for you then to be swayed away to do things that may not fit right for you. How many times have you been on the unit and you thought there's got to be a better way to do something, and you find that better way and you bring that to your manager, you bring that to the team, and they discover, yes, this makes our life work better. It's that same energy that you bring to your clients and serving their needs. So let's take a look at a real example. So I have a friend, we'll call her Monique, who launched a legal nurse consulting business after 15 years in med surg and critical care. At first, she was unsure about being the expert in legal settings, and imposter syndrome was loud. And I don't know about you if you've ever faced that, but I certainly have faced that on a number of occasions as a legal nurse consulting and other things with business owners. And one of the ways that we do that is that we tell ourselves that we're just a nurse. But there's no just to that. I always say that we are a just nurse seeking justice, not only for our patients, but for our profession and our business. And so Monique learned that she could lean into what she already knew: how to analyze a chart under pressure, how to identify gaps in care delivery, how to communicate clearly and professionally with authority figures. How many of us have been tapped on the shoulder by a state or joint commission? And you know that you only volunteer the information that was asked. You don't elaborate. You don't provide everything because you just want to answer what was asked. That's the same thing that you do in deposition. So we already have those skills. We just don't know how to tap into them and use them. And so that's one of the reasons why I created the Nurse Shark Academy, so that we can talk about how to incorporate the skills that we already have as a nurse and build on them and grow. So by tapping into that clinical confidence, Monique positioned herself as a credible and trustworthy consultant. She started reviewing med mal cases, and her first attorney client told her, "You caught things even I missed." That wasn't luck, that was leadership and clinical skill and action. So, how can you build on your leadership style as a nurse entrepreneur? There are three ways. One, reflect on high stakes clinical moments. So take the time to grab a piece of paper, write this down. I'll put this in the show notes as well. Okay. I'll put this in your show notes. But really take this time to answer these questions for yourself. Think about a time when you led a situation at the bedside. How did you stay composed and what strengths showed up? How did you stay composed and what strengths showed up? I'll give you an example from my own life. When I was a nurse supervisor on a busy psychiatric unit, we got the call one day, the one that we would always joke about, you know, that the bus, overturned and we've got 10 psychiatric patients coming at the same time. Well, it wasn't that extreme, but we did have a lot of admissions because another hospital was full and on diversion. And so we ended up about 6 or 7 admissions coming in roughly around the same time. And so as supervisor, I got the team together. I said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just put this in a rotation so that we can all get through this together. I will do the intake portion, do the history, gather all the collateral information. Then I'm going to hand them off to Nurse Sally. I'm just giving them names. Nurse Sally, you're going to get their med list. You're going to go through their medications and double check that and make sure that we get those orders from the doctor and get them implemented as soon as possible. CNA, Alice, you're going to take them and you're going to orient them to the unit and show them where they're going to stay and where they're going to sleep. We're going to hand them off to you for that and make them feel comfortable. And nurse aide, Timmy, you're going to go through their bags and you're going to do the body check and you're going to make sure that all their safety protocols are implemented, and you're going to do that. And then nurse Mildred, you're going to watch the unit. You're going to make sure that call lights are answered and keep the milieu in place and help where you can, where we're doing this. And we're going to just create an assembly line and get that done. So what is it that you've done in those high stakes moments, whether it's a patient that was crashing, coding, maybe you had a family situation happen? How did you stay composed and what strengths showed up during that time? One of the things that popped in my head when I was just thinking about that example was the art of delegating the skills appropriately. I made sure the right person was doing the right thing. The nurses were handling the meds and handling the stuff that they needed to. I was handling the intake. The CNAs were handling the stuff that they could. We had it all together. It was the appropriate delegation. How many times do you delegate things in your work and then do it appropriately? You can do the same thing in your business. Number 2, so here's your second assignment. Write your clinical to CEO narrative. Your clinical to CEO narrative. What do I mean by that? Grab your notebook and write, my nursing experience prepared me to lead a business because. This helps rewire your confidence. So write that down. My nursing experience prepared me to lead a business because. And one of the things that I thought about when I was reflecting on this exercise before I hopped on here with you is I was thinking, a lot of my nurse experience being in leadership and clinical leadership at the hospital trained me for what I'm doing now. I learned about budgeting. I learned about allocating resources. I learned about interviewing and hiring and disciplinary actions. I learned how to do those things working at the hospital. And so my clinical experience prepared me then for being the CEO, where now I have to hire, fire, write policies, procedures, all those things that I need to do. I have those skills and develop those skills throughout my nursing career. So do this for yourself. Write your clinical to CEO narrative. And your third assignment, act before you feel 100% ready. Confidence doesn't come before the action. It grows because of the action. As nurses, we do hard things scared every day. And I always like to say, you know what? We do tough things every day and eat it for breakfast. We come in to those shifts knowing that sometimes we're going to be short staffed, knowing that, things can go wrong and people's lives are at stake. We are in high stakes environments all the time. And the pressure that we feel other people would crumble under, don't forget how awesome you are as a nurse. And so act before you're 100% ready. If you go back to our very first episode of the Nurse Shark Academy show, you'll hear me tell my story and my entrepreneurial journey. And I hopped into this podcast feet first. I hemmed and hawed for 2 years, but finally I decided I was going to do it scared. And I went ahead and had my first episode was me interviewing myself. And so out of this, we're in the middle of our third season, and I've been thinking about doing this from time to time, and I wanted to add some extra value to my listeners. And so I thought, let's add some leadership moments. And so I'm offering that to you. And if you want to go deeper in some of these leadership moments, there's going to be a way for you to do that when we talk about it at the end. But I wanted to share this with you that I had to jump in with both feet and hit that record button. And sometimes you have to do that. Your confidence grows because of the actions that you take. You already have what it takes to lead. You just need to give yourself permission to own it. And then finally, here's your action step to take today. Identify one clinical skill you relied on this week and write it down, one way it can serve you in your business. And so if I had to think about what clinical skill have I relied on this past week, I would have to say the ability to listen. It's my listening skills, being able to understand where that person's coming from. My ability to listen has served me so well in what I'm doing clinically, but also when I'm talking to my client to understand what needs they have and how I can serve them. And so find out what it is for you. Write it down. Share it with me. Don't go live if you want to, or post it on your social media. Tag me on Instagram at the Nurse Shark Academy, or post it in the Nurse Shark Academy Facebook group. You can do it there. You can also tag me on LinkedIn or wherever else you are on our social media. I'd love to see how you're stepping into your CEO confidence. Thanks for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show and our special episodes. If today's episode gave you clarity or courage, leave a review or share it with your nurse entrepreneur friends. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and check out our guest interviews on the show. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep building what only you can. Just wanted to give a shout out as well. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Nurse Shark Academy, you can join our Patron page as well. If you join our Patron page, you'll get backstage access, and we'll do a live Q&A show for those that want to join us as patrons after these episodes, so that we can help you move further into your nurse entrepreneur journey. And also, if you want to become a member of the Nurse Shark Academy and you become a client, you can reach out to us at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts, or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.